Hey everyone, this podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Hi, hey, ho, 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 hey,
Hey, ho, ho.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
My name is David Bell.
My name is Tom Kills.
Yes, and we just watched Halloween Kills.
Halloween kills. Halloween,
This is-
no Halloween.
My grandmother was right. The boogeyman was real.
It's over.
We can't hurt anyone ever again.
No one told you.
Told me what?
Somebody in there?
Michael Myers is alive.
Stop! You had a knife in your stomach.
You and Allison should not have to keep running. Evil dies tonight.
So we wanted to have a certain someone guest on this. Adam Todd Brown. Mm-hmm. Adam Todd Brown.
Yeah.
Adam Todd Brown. But his power went out.
His power went out. Halloween killed his power.
Yeah.
So he's here in spirit, in Halloween spirit.
Yeah.
In spirit Halloween.
And he wanted us
He
to...
may be in a spirit Halloween right now.
Yeah, he might be just wandering around.
Yep.
That's where we go when we die.
Yeah.
Into a spirit Halloween in the sky.
God's waiting room.
Yeah, he wanted us to just say on his behalf that this movie sucked. And we'll get into that.
Yeah.
I want to say just at the top of this that I'm hearing really good things about the movie Medium. And having already seen VHS 94, those are two very good options. Instead of buying Peacock and then canceling Peacock to watch Halloween, or Jesus, going to a...
Or even...
Can you imagine going to a theater for
driving
this?
all the way to the theater to watch Halloween Kills.
Yeah, and if people knew our last review, they know we didn't like that first one.
No, although I do have a blazing hot take that we'll get into.
Okay, because the big difference that's happening right now is that the first of this reboot got good reviews from critics. Everybody liked it but us, it felt like. We felt like we were losing our minds.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I believe the nostalgia glasses have been removed for at least the critics, they didn't like it, this version, at all. And audiences are still audiences. You know, you still look at 5-star reviews. If you go through Rotten Tomato 5-star reviews, it's people just like, yeah, it has some kills in it, 5 stars, and it's like, all right. I mean, that's fine. That's how people rate movies when they're not critics. But I guess the question is, why? What's different? I hinted at the nostalgia-colored glasses. That's not entirely true. That's probably not fair. Because I would say the first Halloween movie, even though I didn't like it, is better than this one.
I don't know. I actually liked this one more than I liked the previous one. I still don't. I still didn't like it.
That's interesting. Yeah,
but I enjoyed this one more because, I mean, at the very least, to quote that 5-star review, at the very least, it's got some pretty gnarly kills in it.
He does kill people in it.
He does murder the fucking shit out of people.
Yeah, let's start with some compliments. I did like some of the cinematography. It was, at times, they would forget, but when they didn't forget, they would shoot it like a 70s Halloween movie. On the other hand, I didn't think they set up tension really well in this. I thought the editing, on the other hand, didn't work.
Well, my biggest problem with this, and it's kind of it's the same issues in the first movie, is that it introduces a lot of plot. It has a lot of random plot threads that it just drops, like it just abandons. So these movies, both of these movies, are so unfocused. That's their biggest problem, in my opinion.
I was going to get to that. They are a fucking mess.
Yeah.
They introduce characters, give them little vignettes, and then kill them off immediately. They 40 minutes in, and we've barely seen Jamie Lee Curtis's character. They're still introducing people 40 minutes in. So it doesn't feel like there's a main character at all.
This movie is even more unfocused than the previous one.
Yeah.
Because of that. So my blazing hot take is I think these two films should have been one movie.
It feels like both movies wasn't enough. Yeah.
Right. Like if you combined them, I think they would feel more complete, because both of these movies feel like sketches to me. They feel like rough drafts. Like, they're so unfocused. They don't really have a point. They don't arrive at any sort of conclusion, really.
Right.
They introduce a lot of characters that they did abandon. They introduce a lot of ideas that they don't follow through with. They're just, especially after the first one got so much goodwill, and then this one got delayed a whole year. It's like, man, you guys, you had 3 years to come up with something that was cohesive, and it just isn't. Yeah. It's just like this movie. But again, this is a problem that both of them have, but the Halloween Kills more so. It feels rambling. Like, it feels like I'm listening.
It's very rambling.
I feel like I'm listening to somebody just making up a movie as they go.
Yeah, and I didn't even know what the point of it. They seem to want to moralize about mob mentality,
but that thing is dropped almost immediately, like almost as soon as it's introduced. Which is an interesting idea. Like, they try to introduce this thread about hysteria and mob mentality, which is like, okay, that's an interesting direction to take this in. But then they abandon it 6 minutes later and never say anything about it. So it's like, why do this?
They do a lot of that with Will Patton's character, where his weird arc that never feels conclusive.
It doesn't get completed.
Yeah.
And then they've already said for the next film.
And Jamie Lee Curtis and him seem to have, this does feel like it's supposed to be the second of a trilogy.
Right. But what I was going to say is they've already said that Halloween Ends, the final installment, is going to flash forward in time 5 years.
Oh, Jesus
So
Christ.
it's like, there won't even complete, the stuff they left hanging in the air at the end of this, like the Will Patton. Will Patton gets a whole prologue in this. So like that, and like Jamie Lee Curtis's arc, those threads that were left hanging they're going to be kept in stasis for 5 years of story time.
Right, and here's the other thing, at least to me, that I think is the issue with this film and what their plans are, is that, and we might disagree on this.
Okay.
What is the purpose of a Halloween film? For example, you already said it has some good kills in it. Honestly, I don't watch the original Halloween. Yeah.
That's not what Halloween's about. Halloween, the first Halloween is about tension.
Exactly. It's exactly that. And this movie tends to undercut its tension a lot. In the moments, in the scenes, they'll just Michael Myers will just kind of show up, and they won't really spend much time leading up to it. And it's about the mystery of Michael Myers, and it's not Lord of the Rings. It doesn't need to be set up like a trilogy. It's not a fucking cinematic universe. It's not you could make a trilogy, that's fine. But the way this movie kind of leaves everything hanging because it's part of that feels wrong.
Yeah.
Because all the Halloween movies, they also share the one thing in common that a lot of slashers have, is at the end it's and we did it. Oh, but we didn't. Which I get it. That's it's a trope.
Yeah, I don't necessarily need to see that. I don't need it to end.
But I needed this to be a cohesive beginning, middle, and end film.
I just want it to be a movie. I don't need it to be the other Halloweens. I want it to be a movie. And neither of these films, they're just nothing. They're rambling story threads, most of which get dropped, and then it just kind of ends in a strange spot that's not really a conclusion. These movies are nothing.
Yeah, another thing I would argue a good Halloween is, which this isn't necessary, is contained. I think a good Halloween is contained, as in babysitter in one house, babysitter in another house.
Well,
hospital.
That's an idea I really want to talk about. So this whole the idea, the promise. Let's say the promise of these reboots is washing away the previous films, right? Because Halloween, probably including two, but Halloween, more so, I think, than other slasher movies, got so lost in the weeds in its lore. They started introducing Sam Hain and a cult and this evil spirit, all this really fucking wacky shit. So the promise of these films was washing all of that away and just being like, no, look, we're continuing from the first one. We're keeping it simple. But both of these movies, this one, I feel like this one definitely more so than the first one.
Yeah.
They are so obsessed with connecting to the older movies.
Yeah, they do.
It's
the
doing
moment they start with a flashback in this, I was like, "Oh fuck!"
It's doing the same,
going back and rewriting everything.
Yeah, and this movie starts spinning out into building up ridiculous lore, like the thing that, like, it's contrary to what the promise of this reboot was. So it's like you're making the same mistake that the Halloween franchise itself has made like twice already. Like it's the Halloween franchise this is the third time it's been rebooted.
Yeah.
And they keep doing the same shit immediately. Like Halloween 2, you just said. Like Halloween 2, it goes off the rails. So and then,
oh, you mean the Rob Zombie Halloween 2?
The John Carpenter one.
Oh, no, the John Carpenter one.
The John Carpenter one goes off the rails by introducing this weird, like, she's his sister, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, the Halloween H2O goes off the rails because that was supposed to be the definitive chapter. She literally cuts his head off at the end of it. But then, nope, they made a sequel. And then, like, the Rob Zombie Halloween 2, which I actually have a little more respect for because it's, like, an interesting idea, but still... it's like it's making the exact same mistakes that this specific franchise keeps making immediately. Every time it gets rebooted, it goes right back to the same horse shit that made them reboot it in the first place.
Imagine if this film was just in the hospital, like Halloween 2.
Yeah.
And it was done as like he's coming for Jamie Lee Curtis, and like they know he's coming, and they are scared and like, oh god, he's getting in the building, and they just keep it all from that, and they actually, I don't know, have Jamie Lee Curtis do something. That would be neat.
Yeah, it was really strange that she's benched the entire film. She spends in a hospital bed.
She never sees Michael Myers.
Nope, she doesn't have a single scene with him.
Yeah, and it's like, why are you even having her in here?
Why did you get her in this movie? Yeah,
it plays into the fact that doesn't seem to be a main character.
Mm-hmm.
It's meandering. I don't know what Michael Myers is up to, and I know that's supposed to be kind of the point, but I just mean like he's just sort of wandering around. And then they finally conclude, oh, he's going home.
He's just going back to his
like,
house.
That's
one idea that I liked. They introduced the idea that it's not actually about Jamie Lee Curtis. It's not actually about Laurie. Like, she's incidental to Michael Myers. He just wants to go back to his house.
Right.
So she's convinced that he's coming for her, but it's like, no, he never was. And I thought that was an interesting idea. But again, it's one of those things they introduce very quickly towards the end of the film and then don't really do anything with it. I assume they're going to do something with it in the third movie, but it's like, maybe concentrate on making this movie something.
Yeah.
So they introduce this interesting, that idea. And then the other idea that this movie had that I was really thought was a good idea, and then it fucking spins out. They don't do anything with it. They abandon it.
Mm-hmm.
Is the idea of the whole town rising up against Michael Myers. Like, I thought that's what this movie was going to be, and they start in that direction, and then just nothing happens with that.
Well, they introduced Tommy Doyle, looking like a fucking member of Dropkick Murphys.
Yeah,
he's older now. It starts, or there's so many starts.
Yeah,
because that's the other thing. They kept doing stuff where I was like, okay, are these the characters?
The movie begins.
Who are the characters?
The movie begins for the first 40 minutes. Like, it keeps beginning. It's like, all right, is the movie going to start at any time?
Yeah, one of them is them at a bar. And apparently, all the victims just get together at this bar. Do they do this every Halloween?
They do.
Why haven't they moved out of the town? I'd move out.
He says they do it every Halloween.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
And they do like an open mic.
Yeah, it's a talent show. And then he gets up there and does, like Adam said, slam poetry about being attacked by Michael Myers when he was a little boy.
And it was like, what the fuck are we doing right now?
Yeah.
And this takes place moments after. It's the same night as the first one. And the news starts coming in about what's happening. And so he basically runs this like, okay, we're going to get him. We're going to get him. And he creates this wild mob to get Michael Myers. They introduce all these characters who just start dying. Multiple deaths in this movie, by the way, are gun accidents. And I don't know. I think that's dumb. We have the flashback with the cop, and he accidentally shoots his partner in the neck trying to shoot Michael Myers.
Mm-hmm.
And then later they're hunting Michael Myers, and that woman shoots herself in the face.
Yeah, like the
And it
dude's
was
like the dude's slipping on the steps and out of sight.
Yeah, and there's a couple of like gag things like that I don't know, just like it didn't work for me. I didn't know why people kept shooting themselves.
I think
instead of Michael Myers killing them.
I think that part specifically, not the prologue where Will Patton's character shoots his partner in the neck, but the lady who shoots herself in the face. I think that was meant to be part of the hysteria idea, but again, it doesn't do anything.
Work.
It didn't do anything with the idea, so it
also didn't work because Michael Myers was right there.
Right, but like
it was like, but I get what you're saying, which is the idea is that a crowd works themselves up and becomes their own worst enemy.
Exactly, yeah.
Is a thing they're trying to do in this, but they do it in the stupidest way. So they remind us, I forget what's in the last film because I only saw that movie once because I didn't like it. But they introduced that there was another hospital, like mental hospital patient who had escaped, and he gets confused for Michael Myers.
I want to talk about that, but
yeah, well,
finish that thought.
I was gonna say it's just they do this whole thing where it's a series of very dumb things people do.
Yeah.
They see an old man in a hospital outfit, no white mask, who is like short and round, and they're like, "It's him! It's Michael Myers!" And it's like
he's wearing a correctional jumper. It's not a prison outfit.
Okay.
So they can see that he's a prisoner. I mean, it's not a hospital outfit, rather. They can see he's a prisoner.
Right, but he's not wearing the mask.
Well,
he doesn't look... I know what you're going to get into, but even if I, for example, didn't know what Michael Myers looked like, I would look at that and go, that's not Michael Myers. Because it was a short, plump man who's terrified and not wearing a mask. So it's weird to me that they would think that's him.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I know you're about to say something about that.
Yeah, but finish out that thought.
Oh, but that's all I'm saying is that this mob mentality, so that they do that, and so they all go ape shit over this guy. No one can seem to tell them, like, it's clearly not the same guy. Judy Greer finds him in the hospital and is like, I'll protect you. And by protect, she means trap him?
Yeah, she locks him in one of those skyways, those skywalks. Yeah.
And then does what she already tried and failed to do, which is scream at the crowd that it's not him, which, again, kept failing. That didn't work. It kept not working. I don't know why she thought that would work again. And so the man just gets trapped and jumps and kills himself. And it's just a series of people being extremely dumb. And then they're like, oh, I guess we're the monsters after all. And then they swap it because then they go after Michael Myers. At the end, the reveal is, oh shit, they trapped him. They're going to gang beat him. And then they like stab him a couple times, shoot him a couple times, and say, well, that's that. And then Michael Myers just kills them all. And so it was like, well, what was the point of all that? Like, it like you said, it's a thread that just doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, they just abandon it.
And again, they know he's superhuman. They talk about, so like the idea, like she stabbed him with a pitchfork, he gets back up. People shot him, he gets back up. And then at the end, they just like stab him some more, shoot him. And they're like, well, he's definitely dead now. And they just are like, yep, that's that. And it's like, of course that's
it's
not
like,
that.
I don't know, maybe park a car on top of him.
Yeah, rip him apart.
Yeah, tear him limb from limb. That's what I thought this was going for. Like that's what I thought it was happening. That would be a cool idea to do in a slasher movie, is have just the fucking whole town be like, no, fuck that guy. And then rise up and beat the shit out of him.
But they do it in such a half-assed way.
Yeah.
It culminates in this like anticlimactic.
It's like 7 people. Like the mob gets distilled down to 7 people beating him up in a street, and it's like, come on, like that's not. It's such a disappointing follow through on this. What could have been a really cool idea, I think.
You call yourself a lynch mob? Come on,
you guys are fucking basic ass lynch mob. Come on. Yeah.
And then he kills them all, and then it's just like, so.
See, I want to talk about that too, because the way the finale is filmed, to me, it's unclear how much of that actually happened.
Yes, because it's filmed like a weird montage. It's like the ending of The Dark Knight, where it's like a monologue and like these shots,
but more surreal than that. Like the shots are surreal, like deliberately surreal. So it really, I finished the movie a little confused as to, well, how much of what I just saw actually happened and how much of it was like, I don't know.
Right. You know what it's not shot like? A horror film.
No.
It's none of this movie is shot like a horror film. There's no tension. That sequence, it's like he's a superhero. Like, again, like montage of him killing them to like some monologue. And then spoilers, he kills Judy Greer. But even that isn't done like a horror movie. It's none of it is shot like a fucking horror movie. There's very few moments that actually try to create tension or be scary besides just like, oh, he's killing people, and that's scary. Yeah. There's also a lot of characters who seem to have no problem sending their kids into danger.
Yep.
Nobody is consistent.
Yeah.
Like that guy brings Judy Greer's kid and his kid to Michael Myers' house, parks and goes, wait a second, I might have made a mistake.
I shouldn't have brought you kids here, wait in the car. Yeah. And then they just follow him inside 30 seconds later, so it didn't even matter. Like, it was that only happened so that guy could go in ahead of them and get killed off screen, and so they could find his body.
And
like,
they needed the character to recognize that it was dumb because it was dumb.
Yeah, it's just people make very sudden, inexplicable decisions just depending on where the movie wants to go next. It's a mess. It's a fucking mess.
It really is.
Okay, the thing I want to scream about is the fact that nobody recognizes Michael Myers. Like in that hospital scene, they're like, that guy's Michael Myers. And it's like, all right, we're in Haddonfield, Illinois. The most notable thing that has ever happened in Haddonfield, Illinois is Michael Myers going on a killing spree 2 different times. He murdered his sister when he was a little boy. He went to prison. He broke out, murdered a bunch more people, went back to prison. And as we see from the first film, where these 2 British podcasters are trying to come out and make a true crime thing about Michael Myers and about Laurie Strode, and they talk about how, X number of interviews have been done. Nobody's ever been able to get Michael Myers to speak. Nobody's ever been able to get Laurie to speak. The point is Michael Myers is an incredibly infamous criminal. Like he's very, very, very famous. And none of you motherfuckers know what he looks like.
They keep showing that his face is all over the news. The movie does this thing that I think is cheap.
It does the Star Wars Ghostbusters thing where everybody forgets about the Force, and everybody forgets that the Ghostbusters fought a marshmallow man and brought the Statue of Liberty to life like 10 years later. Like everybody just forgets.
They're scam artists, and it's like, are they though?
Yeah, because they want to reintroduce it.
Yes, but what I was getting at is they also show that everybody has seen his face on the news. It bothers me because if you remember the first Halloween, the way they did Michael Myers' face was we just didn't see it because there was never a moment that we would have seen it until we do see it. For one shot, we see his face. Yeah. And it's almost, I always thought the point was like, oh my God, he's just some guy.
Yeah, and it's mostly obscured by shadow, and they do kind of a decent job with that in this movie, but
well, that's what I was getting at is I don't think they did, because they'll do stuff where like they'll blast his face on the news, and the camera will just rack focus away.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, the movie is hiding his face. You're not making circumstance hide his face. Does that make sense? So like in the first movie, like when he doesn't have the mask when he's like escaping, they make it really creepy because he's like jumping on the car and you just don't see him. And it's part of what makes him creepy to me. In this, it was like everybody is seeing him.
It's not only that.
It's just the camera's not seeing him.
Right, the camera's not seeing him.
It's like an Austin Powers bit where they keep obscuring his face for us.
Yeah.
And not the characters. And that's okay. We don't have to. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like, to me, the face stuff isn't what makes him compelling.
No.
But the movie knows that. It's trying to hide his face.
The movie seems to think that. This is what's frustrating about it to me.
Yeah.
Is the movie is treating these characters like they're us. Like, we never get to see Michael Myers' face. So the movie is confusing that with nobody gets to see Michael Myers' face. And it's like, no.
He would be all over the news.
Not only that, like, what happens... Like, he wouldn't just be all over the news tonight. He would have been all over the news for the past 40 years.
Right.
Everybody knows what Charles Manson looks like.
Right.
Because it's like, he didn't go to court and he's not sitting in prison with that fucking mask on his face, you assholes. Like, he's just going to be it's just going to be that dude's fucking face. So it's to the point where they have a scene where one of the townspeople that rises up is Tommy Doyle's sister, the little girl from the first Halloween. Right. And she gets away from him, but she pulls off his mask as she's escaping. And when they find her, she's like, I saw his face. And they're like, what'd you see? Nothing. It's like, of course she's seen his face. This isn't the first time she's seen his face.
Right,
like,
exactly.
He's one of the most famous prisoners in history in this universe. You know what this motherfucker looks like. There's no way you don't.
Even if you didn't, they show in this movie that the news is blasting his face.
Yeah, but
so it's like
even the
face
news
is not
seems
mysterious.
to not know who he is what's frustrating. Because like the news, if you listen to the news report, it's like these two unidentified prisoners. And it's like, how the fuck does the news not know who Michael Myers is? Like,
that's so
it's
dumb.
not even. Because the first movie in this fucking trilogy that we're doing establishes that Michael Myers is very, very famous, and it begins with two people coming out to do a true crime podcast about him. Like, it's like, that's Jesus important. Christ, stay consistent with yourself, at least.
That's the thing. You're not assuming something about this world. It's what the first movie
It's what the movie has told us, yes.
Yeah. This is
and
a fucking mess.
They all react like when Tommy Doyle says Michael Myers is back, everybody's like, oh shit. So they all like it's your Haddonfield, your most famous thing that has ever happened in Haddonfield is this guy terrorized your town. There would be a tourism industry around Michael Myers. Like you would have regular tours drive past that house. You know what I mean? Like it's like the Salem witch trials, or like, you know, the Hollywood murder tours where they drive you past the house where Sharon Tate was murdered. Like it's like people would know what this dude looks like. They absolutely would. He would have fan bases, a fan site. There would be Netflix documentaries about this dude, as they established in the previous film. That shit really frustrates me, like that kind of writing. It's like, how can you...
It's all for convenience.
Yeah,
everything is good for convenience.
Yeah.
There's several moments in this movie where, like, a character is approached by Michael Myers and yells, like, do it! What are you waiting for? And it, like, comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it's stuff like that where it's like, I think they just wanted them to say
They wanted that for the trailer. Because it doesn't make any sense in that scene. It's the granddaughter. Her boyfriend has just been fucking murdered into the next world. He gets killed so hard.
He does.
But her leg is broken. She's struggling to fight this guy. He's killing her. And then out of nowhere, she comes out with that, do it! What are you waiting for? And it's like nothing in this scene has built up to that.
Right.
Like it truly feels like just a trailer.
It feels like that was written for Jamie Lee Curtis.
Mm-hmm.
Like it feels like that scene was supposed to be Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, it would make sense coming from her character, not from the granddaughter.
They also, going back to Endangering Kids, Judy Greer, when she's at the hospital, she insists that Michael Myers is coming to the hospital, right?
Yeah.
And so she's like, he's going to come here. He's going to attack my mom. And then she goes to her daughter and she's like, so you have to stay here and protect her. You can't go join that lynch mob. You have to stay and protect your mom or your grandma. And then later she's like mad that she went to do the lynch mob because it's dangerous. And it's like, you volunteered her to guard grandma from the murderer. Like you'd think the natural thing would be like, you can't join that lynch mob. I don't want you to get killed. But her excuse was, I want you to guard your grandma because this is where the bad guy's going to be. Mm-hmm. It's so weird that there wasn't a moment where she said, like, you need to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Like, again, so many people randomly, like, volunteering their kids to be in danger.
Nobody makes any sense in this movie.
Nobody makes any sense.
They make wildly contradictory decisions scene by scene. It's like reading The Walking Dead. It's some real bullshit.
There's like little things. There's a part when at that ending where the boyfriend getting killed, where they're walking around the house and they open a closet and they shoot a jack-o'-lantern. That's just
in the closet. Yeah,
in the closet.
I was watching it. I was watching it with Marina, and that scene happened, and she fucking blows the pumpkin away. This jack-o'-lantern that's sitting on a shelf in a closet on Halloween night, and Marina was like, "Oh. Well, who keeps a jack-o'-lantern in a closet?" And I said, nobody. People making a horror movie do that.
Yeah. At one point, at the very end, they do this. This was, I think, the cherry for all of this personally, and it kind of represented everything wrong with it. When they're gang beating Michael Myers, the old cop who is in the original.
Yeah, it's the sheriff from the first movie.
Yeah, who does conventions and stuff. And I don't know if you've ever seen him at a convention.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen him at horror conventions. He has his banner and a very specific quote. And before he kills Michael Myers, he goes, "Hey, Michael, everyone's entitled to one good scare," and shoots him. And it's like, is that your fucking catchphrase now? What is happening? Because obviously that is the line that he says in the original Halloween.
Yeah.
And they call back to it. I think they called back to it in the first one of these. They call back to it in Halloween H2O. They love calling back to that line for some reason. But then it got to the point now that he just says it like he's the Terminator saying "Hasta la vista."
Yeah.
And it was like, what the fuck? Is he aware
It doesn't
that
make
that's his
any
catchphrase?
goddamn sense.
It doesn't make any sense. It's a real, like, Member Berries moment where they're like, yeah, see, it's that guy. Remember, it's that guy. He's going to say the line. But it doesn't make any sense in the context.
Nope. It's
of
so
what's
bizarre.
happening.
It's so bizarre. This is very nitpicky. It just struck me as funny. But related to this character, they show a flashback of him seeing his dead daughter. She was murdered in the first movie. Like lying on a gurney. And that shot is from Halloween 2.
Right.
The movie they retconned out of this continuity.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's very nitpicky because, of course, that scene happened. Like, he would have seen that. Like, so that's fine.
Right.
It's just funny to me on a I don't know. It's just funny.
On a meta level.
Yeah.
Some of this might seem nitpicky, but it's all representing a larger problem, which is like disregard for the little things. And like, for me, that cop saying that line was the epitome of everything wrong, which is that we want to do the things that the fans like, and it doesn't matter if it doesn't make any sense.
Oh, I don't think we're nitpicking about little things. Like the main point that I think we've been hammering on for this movie and the previous movie is that it's not a story. Like nothing.
It's not.
It's just a rambling series of events that don't connect, and then all these introduced threads that are dropped. It's bad.
It's a brainstorming session where people shout out things that they want to see in a Halloween movie, and then they just put them all in there. That's what it feels like. And again, honestly, all of this would be fine if they shot it like a horror movie. Like, there's more than one sequence of Michael Myers just destroying like 8 people. He kills all those firemen too. Like he's John Wick, like he's the main character. And it just feels wrong. Like, it's just like, yeah, maybe he'd kill all those people, but you're not doing it like a horror movie.
No, it's shot like an action movie.
Yeah, it's like slow-mo shots of him fighting, and it's like he's still like supposed to be an old man.
Yeah, he's like a 68-year-old man.
Yeah, and like Michael Myers was never a fighter. He surprised people. He was that's his tactic, right? Is to prey on teenagers mostly, people who are helpless, and like stab them from behind.
Yeah.
Or trick them in some fun way. Dress up like a ghost and make a woman think he's her boyfriend. And so like him just like taking on firefighters in the first act of this movie, it was like, oh, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Because again, this isn't about seeing him kill people. Like, it's not Freddy Krueger doing fun dream murders. You know what I mean?
It's not Jason.
It's not Jason. Yeah. Halloween was never that. Or at least at its best.
When it was
that.
good, it wasn't that. Like, it's and this is obviously is our opinion, but like, yeah, like that's what makes Halloween unique as a franchise, is that Michael Myers, like that, especially that first one, man, it's so tense. It's just he's
coming.
He's like an ambush predator. I don't know, and he does creepy things like stage the bodies, which they did a little bit of that in this one. So
yeah,
but it wasn't done. Again, it wasn't filmed in like a horror movie, so it didn't. It wasn't scary.
Obligatory.
It just felt like a member berries for the fans. It wasn't scary when it was done in this movie.
When he staged the bodies in the others, it felt like he was doing it knowing that he was about to kill the person who found the next body. Like, you know what I mean? he did some elaborate shit in that first movie, mind you.
Well,
he did some wacky shit.
It was all building up to putting his sister's tombstone on the bed and then laying a dead woman in front of it. Like that was what it was building up to. Like he wanted to build this like macabre shoebox diorama for his class presentation or something.
Right. But even in the later movies, things like Halloween H2O, he hangs a woman up in the closet so the light bulb's in her torso. And like obviously it's like we just wanted to have a cool image, but also he sets that up to murder the next person who finds him, if that makes sense. So like when he kills those people on the playground and just sort of like puts them on the merry-go-round.
Yeah.
I was like, why did he do that? Because it didn't feel like, yes, that is a thing he does, but it didn't feel like the right context for it. Like he's just,
I don't know.
He's just going home.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, oh, he's just killing whoever gets in his way, and he's just keeps walking. But the fact that he like arranged the bodies, it's not out of character for him, but in this movie, it just felt weird and obligatory.
It's for me. It's mostly it's all because it wasn't filmed properly, or like it wasn't shot in a way that made it scary. Because like man, that image from the first film is one that sticks with you.
Oh yeah.
So it's just like I don't need there to be any reason. He just does it because that's just what he does. It doesn't necessarily have to be he's specifically laying a trap. For me, it can just be, well, he does it because that's what he does. But they didn't film it in a way that it made it have that impact where it's like, oh, that's because it's like staging bodies is creepy. That's a creepy thing to do.
It is, for sure.
But you have to film it right. You can't just shoot it like whatever. Like I don't know. Here's
what it all. All right, so. The first, this counts with this first one and this new one, is that the original Halloween is a slow burn.
Yeah,
it's shot like a slow burn movie. The creepiest parts for me, is for example why the Halloween hedge is so famous. That shot of him standing behind a hedge, that is a famous shot. Him in the clotheslines, that is a famous shot. Mm-hmm. And none of them are moments that lead to murders. It's all how long of that movie do you think it takes before Michael Myers actually starts killing people?
It's about 50 minutes, I believe.
Yeah. It's a slow burn movie. It's about the boogeyman coming to get you. And if you look at movies, some of the later movies, some of them actually understood that. Halloween H2O, one of the reasons I like that movie is because it is also that. Michael Myers also doesn't kill anybody for a while. It's a slow
excluding
burn.
the opening.
Excluding the opening, yes. But like there's parts where like he's at a rest stop and a woman and her kid. He doesn't kill them because he doesn't care about them. He's just moving along. Whatever. This isn't about Halloween H2O. My point is that they do the slow burn again. They do the tension. They do PTSD. They do, oh God, he's coming. And then when he finally starts killing people, it's later in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're in the age of A24 films, slow burn horror. And so when they were like, we're rebooting Halloween and we're going to do it like, we're going to shoot it like a 70s film, like a throwback, I thought, oh, good. They're going to bring back what the first movie did, which is that slow burn tension.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't do that.
Right. This feels more like a reboot of the Rob Zombie movies, which, Michael became this, I think, but like Rob Zombie leaned into it way more, which just casts Michael Myers as a splatterhouse juggernaut, which he's absolutely not that in the original Halloween.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, I guess that's one way to go, but we've sort of explored that already. So it just seemed like the right time to actually give a shit, you know? To actually reboot it in a way that brought it back to being scary and not just a slasher. Because it had kind of turned into a slasher over the years.
Mm-hmm. And
so like when he's taking on 6 firemen, like fighting with a fire hook thing, and it's like, what are we doing? What is this?
Yeah, what is this?
This is just might as well be another one of the
Velociraptor. What's happening?
Yeah, and it's like, why are we making this? We already have. We have plenty of this.
We have Jason for this. This is what Jason does. This isn't what Michael Myers does.
We have the later Halloweens too, where Halloween Resurrection. Like this is no different than a Halloween Resurrection in what it's trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
It's obviously a different, era. It's Halloween Resurrection, I would say, is probably a worse movie, but its tone and what they're setting out to do doesn't feel much different. And that's what's the bummer of it, is that I think the people who are giving this good reviews are the people who are identifying Halloween as a Friday the 13th, or a Chucky. And that just, I don't know, you could say the same thing about Friday the 13th, right? The first movie is shot with way more consideration than the later films.
Yeah, but that's not why Friday the 13th took off. Like, Friday the 13th didn't take off until Jason became the character, and Jason's whole deal is just, like, super murdering people in fanciful ways.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is the difference.
And, like, Freddy's deal is that he cracks jokes and he has the cool, surreal bullshit that you can do with nightmares. Like, that's Freddy's thing.
And Freddy was always stupid, but, like, that first movie is done a little more creepily, but it's still ridiculous.
It's a horror movie. It's a good movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's a great movie. I'm just talking about what it is. All right, is that slasher movies for me I don't find them scary. I don't find Jason scary.
No, that's not why I watch Jason.
Yeah, I don't find Freddy Krueger that scary. The first movie does have some moments that are like, ooh, that's freaky. Like, obviously, if I met either of them in real life, I would be frightened of them. But that's, they knew over time,
right.
We're not trying to scare anybody.
It's like running into a grizzly bear in real life. It's that kind of frightening.
Yeah. Michael Myers in the first movie is scary.
Yeah.
Halloween is a scary movie because of how it's crafted, more than the fact that it's who he is, I guess.
Yeah.
And so, like, there is a room to go back and actually make a Halloween that is actually scary again. And they seem to have no interest in doing that, to the point that this isn't even shot like a horror movie.
No.
And that's weird.
Yeah, it is. It's very strange. I don't know. It's whatever.
It's a yeah, that's the thing is honestly I don't care about. I'm already forgetting this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm already excited to watch the movie Medium. My sister just watched it and she said it was really good. I really can't wait to talk to you about VHS 94. There's a lot of good horror movies right now.
Yeah.
That I care way more about.
I will say this
is not that.
Yeah, I will say this. If you're a pop horror fan and you just want a blood and gut slasher, this is gonna do the trick for you.
Yeah,
like he ultra murders some people in this movie, and it's pretty gnarly. There's a couple of gnarly moments. I was like, all right, movie, okay,
right.
Like, but it's not. It's not what I wanted from Halloween. Like, it's not. I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you like movies with plots that make sense,
don't watch.
Then
this
isn't for you either.
This is if you just want to watch people get their blood and guts splattered across the screen, this is gonna do it for you.
Yeah, if you want to sit with your friends and drink and talk over a movie,
mm-hmm.
and then the murders happen, and you go, "Oh,
yeah, that's what this movie is," and it's perfectly fine for that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of slashers like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's for me, it's more like it's about the putting the hype on these movies as like a new version or like a throwback. Like it's shot in some places like a throwback 70s. And like that hype around it as being that, it's weird that it isn't that.
Yeah.
It's like an Instagram filter. That's it. Like it's just it doesn't actually have
with the exact same level of thought behind it.
Yeah. And so obviously it depends on how you're judging it. But as someone who grew up with Halloween, it's just like, man, I've seen 6 of these.
Yeah, and they're all bad. Like
they're all bad.
The Halloween sequels, with the exception of 3, are all terrible. They're terrible movies.
I like 2 okay. It's
not
dumb.
Good.
No, it's not good. But I'll enjoy it 2 every now and then.
It's
the other ones get kind of actually boring.
Yeah, especially
up
that middle,
H2O.
like 4, 5, 6. Those are boring as shit, and that's when it's like disappears up its own asshole with like its mystical cult plot lines. It's like, Jesus Christ, guys! Like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah, for me, it's 1, 2, and H2O are the ones that I'm like, yeah, that feels like the canon that I want. I ignore everything else around it. And that, like, H2O isn't even that great of a film.
It's pretty bad.
2 is certainly not good of a film. But if we're talking about Halloween canon, you know what I mean? Of like, what's the plot that we want? 1, 2, and H2O for me. and there's so much noise around that, including these. These just feel like I have the same feeling of the Rob Zombie ones, which is like I did not like that first one. The second one was I liked. I remember enjoying that. They're fun.
It's a
they're
bold
whatever.
move, that second one.
Yeah, and like they're whatever. They're fun.
They're fine.
I rarely think about them.
Yeah, it's what they're whatever. Again, it's not. It's Rob Zombie taking the Michael Myers character and very much doing his own thing with it. So like the intent wasn't even the same, and he tells you that straight out of the gate. So I actually have a little more respect for those than I do for these. Yeah,
I think so too, because at least these, or the Rob Zombie ones didn't pretend.
No, they're very clear in their intent.
Yeah. I find them kind of grating, but like,
they're grating.
They are what they are.
They're grating in the way that Rob Zombie's films are grating.
Yes.
Yes. For sure. But I respect them more than I respect these. Like these are nothing. These are nothing movies.
Did you ever see Lords of Chaos? Not Lords of Chaos.
Lords of Salem.
Lords of Salem.
I have not.
That is the least Rob Zombie film he's made, and I quite like it. We don't have to talk about that movie,
don't.
though.
but I'll check it out.
Yeah, you should check it out. The ending sucks, but whatever. What are we talking about? Halloween Kills. Yeah, like the first one, I'm probably never going to watch this again.
Yeah, I rewatched the first one like a few months back, and boy, I've said it a few times. It's just nothing. It's just nothing.
This director has made some great stuff.
He has, David Gordon Green.
Yeah, not horror though, huh?
No, I don't think this is for him.
Is he really making an Exorcist? Did I read that somewhere?
You did, yeah. Yep. These are like, for better or worse, these Halloween movies are the most successful films he has ever done.
Yeah, that is such a shame. Because The Exorcist, I don't know, man. I can't see that working out.
No, it's going to be dumb as fuck. It's going to be just like this.
Yeah, even if it wasn't him making it, I can't see an Exorcist working out. Period.
Yeah.
And then now that it's him, I'm like, fuck.
So much of the Exorcist depended on the time it was released in. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a whole other conversation. We can be done with this conversation.
I guess we can. Let me. Yeah, I got nothing else. I thought I had some more Closet Pumpkin in my notes. Subplot. I'm just scrolling. Yeah. It's a dumb movie. And again, can't stress enough, Jamie Lee Curtis does most of the movie while lying down. Mm-hmm. And I do appreciate a movie being like, no, she's hurt. She's not going anywhere. This is supposed to be real life. You know what I mean?
But I would have appreciated some more it's not only that she's lying down the whole time, she's only in 3 or 4 scenes.
Right, and she's not doing anything.
Doesn't do anything.
Imagine if this was all in the hospital. She was lying down. She was hurt. So you have the final sequence be like she's like crawling down. Like they do the thing where she takes the painkiller and she's like
doesn't leave the hospital.
And then you think, oh, here we go. She's gonna go out. She's gonna fight Michael Myers, and she doesn't. They have to like carry her back to the bed 5 minutes later. So like imagine a version where she's like stuck in the bed and like she can't go anywhere, and the murders are happening in the hospital. And, like, that would be scary. That would be really freaky. If you stayed on her character, she ends up taking, like, she has to watch Michael Myers, like, kill someone in the bed next to her or something. She has to hide under the bed. She takes the painkillers. She's, like, crawling in the hallway. All those, like, she's, like, just trying to get away from him or fight him, but she just can't. She can barely move. That would have been cool. And that's what I thought they were going to set up. And then none of that.
Yep.
It's just a fucking mess. All right. Yeah, that's all I have. I'm done.
Yep, I'm done too.
Okay. Hey, thanks for listening, folks. If you're interested, you can check out our Patreon. Patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We have exclusive podcasts on there like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Star Trek, The Next Futurama. That's all for $5 a month. You get you do $5. And you get all those exclusive podcasts every month. We also watch movies with our patrons. That's for a little bit more. We're watching a lot of spooky stuff this month, as you can imagine.
Season.
Yeah, maybe we'll watch the original Halloween. Who could say?
Who can say? Who amongst us can say? We also have a store. Head on over to gamefullyunemployed.com where you can find a link to our Teespring store, where we have all kinds of cool original artwork and designs you can get on T-shirts, mugs, stickers, posters, all kinds of things. So check that out.
Mm-hmm. And I guess check out Adam Todd Brown stuff.
Yeah. Adam Todd Brown, hater of Halloween Kills.
Hater of Halloween Kills. Our ghost guest.
Go find him in the Spirit Halloween he's currently wandering through.
Yeah.
All right.
God bless him.
Bye.